Hello, everyone. This is Doug Davis, broker in charge at Crombie Realty, and here with another Ask Doug. Thanks for coming. And today I wanted to talk about the ins and outs of giving 45-day notice to a tenant while you are in escrow. So you sell your condo, you sell your house, and you have tenants. They're on month to month and the buyer wants to live there, so you need to get the tenants out. So what's the process to do that? So all of these concepts, other than just giving notice, are not in our state of Hawaii pre-written board of realtor contracts. So that leaves a lot out. So you have to add special clauses to do what you need to do. And I'm going to go over that now. So, okay, so has to be a month-to-month tenant. You can't give notice to a tenant that has a lease. Their lease ends when it ends, whatever the date is on their contract. So you may not give them notice. You can only do this for month-to-month tenants. So, okay. Um, so here's the timeline. The buyer's agent, 99% of the time, will just simply ask for the tenant to be out. And the seller then is exposed. So seller gives notice to the tenant to go 45 days. They find a place in a week and they move, they're gone. Then the buyer cancels. Oh, really bad. Now the seller has no buyer, no tenant, no income, and will the buyer compensate the seller for this miss? No, they won't. They'll just disappear. Can you re-rent it? Well, it might take a month or so, maybe 2 months to find a tenant. Now, it could be mid-month. But then it's on the market and you have showings, so not much appeal for a tenant to go in on a month to month. So you'd have to reduce your rent rather substantially to have them put up with the process, and then perhaps having to move right away. So that doesn't make any sense. Okay, so what do you do? Well, you can add a clause into the contract that says that notice shall be given when the buyer has removed all of their contingencies. That would protect the seller. Buyers agents usually commonly will represent to the buyer that they shouldn't do that. So maybe you're at loggerheads there and maybe the transaction won't go through, but it's certainly not fair. Well, maybe the seller would relent on all the contingencies except for the loan, but then they might not get the loan, but that's going to be far down the line there. So you could put in a clause that says, simply we'll give notice 45 days. And as soon as all the contingencies removed, or all the contingencies except for the bank loan, and that would delay closing. The buyer can close with the countdown ticking, but most buyer agents, again, about 99% of them will say, no, we want to wait until the tenant is out. Okay, you can do that. But then you might have a loan lock problem. The buyer agreed with the lender to lock the loan, even knowing that the closing date is really unknown. So that may come up. Mm. Nothing really you can do about that, other than buyer can close with the tenant still in there with the clock ticking. Um, it's kind of a dicey thing. But then you never know when the tenant's going to move out. They might move out in a week, 2 weeks. Um, Most people will move out within the first couple of weeks, in my experience. Rarely do they go to the 45th day. And I mean, they could be holdover tenants and stay way past the 45th day. So that would be a buyer horror because they can't take possession. So anyway, those are all the things that you have to weigh when you're trying to figure out how to represent the seller, represent the buyer, and and have a successful closing. The main thing is not leaving the sellers so incredibly exposed, especially since buyers will often cancel within the first couple of weeks, 3 weeks, um, before they make that halfway point. So there you go, some things to think about. And as always, if you like my video, appreciate a like and subscription to my channel. And if you have any real estate needs, buying, selling, or property management, estate management, love to hear from you. And keep the questions coming. That was a question I had this morning. And uh, until next week, thanks so much.